This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. The new indictment against Donald Trump and his failing popularity and the soaring campaign of Kamala Harris is having a real-world impact on Donald Trump's finances. And what I mean by that is the stock market is starting to wake up and take notice of Donald Trump's failing popularity, Kamala Harris's likelihood of winning the election, and other problems with TruthSocial media, including it has zero revenue and it is probably in the hole by several $100 million. And now the stock price is getting hammered. And it's only going to get worse as we approach mid-September when Donald Trump can finally sell some of his 114 million shares of stock, which is only going to depress the stock price further. The stock price of TruthSocial is tied to the popularity of Donald Trump and him being exclusively on that network. How do I know that? Because even in TruthSocial's own securities filings, they have said that if Donald Trump's brand, his popularity takes a hit, the stock price could take a hit. That's exactly what's happened. You could almost graph all of the bad things that have happened to Donald Trump in the last several months, just the last several months, and see that investors have nailed him in the stock price as a result. Just in the last 30 days, TruthSocial stock price is down 40%. Can you imagine waking up in the morning and there's 40% less in your bank account? That's what happened to TruthSocial. And that means all those investors were harmed as a result. It is now down to just barely above $20 a share. Sure, it started at $10 a unit, but there's plenty of people that bought stock well above $20 a share as it drifted following his popularity and people thinking he was going to win against Joe Biden as it drifted up to $40 and $50 a share. Now, with indictment after indictment, with all of the cases, with the 34 felony convictions, with the impending sentencing. See, that's one thing that the stock market, and I know this from having worked on Wall Street, this is one thing the stock market has an uncanny ability to do. It is to bake into today's pricing the expectation and anticipation of events in the future. What do I mean by that? Investors and brokers don't wait until September to bake into the price now the fact that Donald Trump is likely to try to offload $1 billion worth of stock as soon as he can, as soon as his 6-month tie-up is over. He had a restriction under securities laws from selling any of his stock for the first 6 months, but that's over on the 20th of September. I've said it in a prior hot take. September is a very busy month for Donald Trump. He's going to be sentenced on the 18th of September. He has oral argument in his $500 million Attorney General fraud case during that period. He's back in court with Judge Chutkan with a new indictment in the D.C. election interference case in September, and he can start selling his stock, which is only going to drive the $20 down further. Brokers and investors bake that into the price now. That's why it's got hammered. That's why it's not only dropped 40% in the last 30 days, it's dropped 17% in the last 5 days. And it's not a coincidence that as the odds makers on Wall Street see Donald Trump's failing efforts to regain the White House, they have to see how well Kamala Harris is doing. They've got eyes, they've got ears. They know she's raised almost $1 billion, $750 million in fundraising between her and all the related PACs around her against Donald Trump raising a third of that. It's baked into the purchase price, into the stock price. That's why. I mean, there's a number of reasons the stock is now returning to planet Earth and should be well below the original $10 a share or $10 a unit price. For a company that's been around as long as it has, to have virtually no revenue and has already had losses of several $100 million with no end in sight, it's not going to get better for TruthSocial when Donald Trump loses. And the indictment that just came out, this new superseding indictment by Jack Smith, is a death knell for the stock. They thought, well, maybe he won't get indicted again. Oh, indicted again. Stock dropped 17% since the new indictment and heading south fast. What do you think is going to happen to the stock? And I'll tell you, when Donald Trump and the other insiders, meaning people in the C-suite, CEO, COO, CFO, chief legal officer, they start selling off their stock. It's already happened. like rats leaving a sinking ship. You already have the CFO, Philip Johann, the CEO, there we go, David Nunez, the COO, Andrew Northwall, and the General Counsel, Scott Glob, have already sold shares, over 130,000 shares. So as a kid, I loved eating cereal. But as an adult, I don't want all that sugar, and most cereals don't give me the protein I need. Then I found Magic Spoon, a nostalgically delicious cereal that tastes just like my childhood favorites, but without the sugar and with a ton of protein. And if you're already a Magic Spoon fan, I got big news. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high-protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious, they've already become my favorite before and after gym snack. Every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, and there's so many more. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, and an easy way to get 11 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. My favorite is Magic Spoon's chocolatey peanut butter treats. And by the way, they're my wife's favorite too. They're our favorite late night snack. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/legalaf or look for Magic Spoon in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/legalaf for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream. There's another thing that's being baked into the share price. There was a little reported, although we did it, a little reported deal back in July that TruthSocial signed with Yorkville Advisors to bring another $2.5 billion worth of shares to the market. What do you think that's going to do to the stock price? I'm going to tell you, it's going to dilute it. It's going to drive it and hammer it down below 20. If I would not be shocked if by the time of the election, when Donald Trump has lost the election, that stock is now down below 10, now down to 9. Most special purpose acquisition companies, SPACs, most companies that go public through a SPAC vehicle, the way that Donald Trump did, where a shell public company with no assets, with it's called a blank check company, gets investors to invest in them, hoping to make some strategic acquisition, which the investors don't know what that's going to be. That's why it's called a blank check or blind check company. They then take that money and they acquired TruthSocial, which was not public, not a public company. They merged and became a public company. That kind of taking a company to the public market through a SPAC is generally not that successful. Sure, there's a handful of successful SPACs out there, but the vast majority of them are trading well below their $10 unit price initial entry. And anybody that was foolish enough, because they thought they were supporting Donald Trump and they were voting with their stock investment for Donald Trump, are getting hammered, and understandably so. All you need to do is read the securities filings for this company to recognize how precarious, what a house of cards, what thin ice, what other metaphors can I use, that this entire company rests upon. Donald Trump's popularity is the helium, the hot air that inflates the stock price. I mean, this is like the tulip craze in Holland in the 1200s, when tulips went through the roof in pricing for no good reason. Sure, I like a tulip. At least when you bought a tulip in Holland in that craze, when you got crazy and you had to buy a tulip, at least you came home with a tulip. You buy a share of TruthSocial, you get nothing. You get Donald Trump's hot air and his failing popularity, which is the only thing that's keeping this company alive. It has no business model. If this was any other business model and you went to a bank and said, here's my concept. The banker said, okay, I want to borrow money from you, billions of dollars from you. Okay, this ought to be good. What's your business model? Give me your business plan. Okay, we're going to be around for over a year. Okay, we're going to be tied to the ego of one presidential candidate who used to be president. Go on. That person is going to be convicted of 34 felony counts and is going to be sentenced soon. Yeah. You still here? Hello? I'm talking about the banker in my example. And he just got re-indicted in a DC election interference case that he's tried to steal the election and cause the Capitol to burn in order to stop the peaceful transfer of power. Okay. And we're going to get 4 million active monthly users on our social media platform. 4 million. By the way, I get 10 times that in views, just so you know, on my hot takes on this network. We've got 3 million subscribers, okay? That's subscribers. So they have no consumer base, no user base, nobody watching this, and they have no content other than the mean tweets for Donald Trump, which very, very soon, like in the next 70 days, aren't really going to matter. They're just going to be like the old guy or old person that yells at the ducks down at the pond. Nobody really cares once Donald Trump loses. This banker's not lending him money, but the little retail investor that's like a Trumper and a MAGA person, I want to own a piece of Donald Trump, literally. They're going to get hammered and screwed. And it's coming. Circle the calendar. September 20th, I guarantee you, and I'll be back in a hot take if I'm wrong, I guarantee you Donald Trump's going to sell a shed load, that's a legal term, a shed load of stock. And that stock price is going to drop well below $20 a share. And as Kamala Harris continues, and as Jack Smith continues, and all those September dates that I just gave you on his criminal calendar, on his fraud calendar, start happening, the stock market is going to hammer that stock. And as more insiders sell, leaving a sinking ship. I'm going to continue to follow it all from my perspective as both a lawyer, a trial lawyer, and somebody who worked for a Wall Street company on the legal side. I kind of got my own perspective on this that I think is unique, and I'd like you to hear it right here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. Congratulations to the MeidasTouch Network. They hit 3 million free subscribers during Legal AF last night, which I really appreciate. But we're moving towards 4 million already. We can't rest. Thank you for helping us build this network with our bare hands and with your help and without outside investors. No censorship here. Nobody tells me what to say. It's unfiltered. It's unhinged. It's unplugged. And it's Michael Popok here on this hot take. Join me Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Legal AF. We sit at the intersection of law and politics so that you don't have to. We curate the top 4 or 5 stories at that intersection, and we bring it to you the only way we know how, without blowing smoke or sunshine. And then you can pick us up on YouTube right here on this MeidasTouch Network. You can watch us if you like watching the recording of podcasts. You can participate in live chat with us, or you can just listen to us on audio podcast platforms. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know, and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.